Once upon a time, a prospering country was controlled by a king. He took a trip to some remote places of his country one day. When he returned to his palace, he complained that his feet were quite sore because it was the first time he had gone on such a long journey, and the path was very rough and stony. He then directed his men to cover every road in the country with leather. This would undoubtedly require thousands of cow skins and would be exceedingly costly. Then one of his clever slaves dared to question the king. Why do you have to spend unnecessary amount of money? Why don't you just cut a small piece of leather and put it around your feet? The king was surprised, but he eventually accepted to his offer to create a shoe for himself. Moral of the story. This story has a significant life lesson. If you want to make the world a happier place to live, you have to first change your heart, not the world. When you're going through a crisis, use the opportunity to reflect on your life and ask God to answer the question, what am I doing here? And pay close attention to God's response so you can learn from it. God's response will reveal important information about His plans for your life, including both the type of person God wants you to become and the type of work God wants you to accomplish in the world. You can be the change you wish to see in the world by asking God to modify every aspect of your life so that it is centered on discovering and accomplishing His purposes. Make your relationship with God the most important thing in your life and circle everything else around it. Invite God to transform everything about you and your life to what He feels is best for you. Make it a practice to seek and obey God's instructions. Don't be concerned about attempting to accomplish anything significant in the world by a big activity. While God does call certain people to do so, the majority of people have a much smaller impact on the world. Keep in mind that simply turning up to accomplish whatever work God places in front of you each day can have a huge impact on the world. Simply attempt to make decisions based on what you believe is best as you go through each day with God in prayer. God will use your life to touch the lives of others and change the world, one life at a time. Recognize that your story is an important element of what God is doing in the world. Investigate what types of global needs resonate with your spirit, and what types of service endeavors bring you the greatest delight. Discover which ways of assisting others mean the most to you. Then concentrate your efforts in that area and incorporate it into your lifestyle in order to serve others in that way. Make a commitment to volunteer on a regular basis rather than as a one-time event, so you may maintain relationships with those you serve. And don't let fear prevent you from doing what you believe God is calling you to accomplish. Identify what you're afraid to give up serving God, and then praying for the fortitude to give it up whenever it's necessary to take the risks God wants you to take while serving Him. Remember, when you're terrified, you're forced to rely on God, and relying on God is the positions you need to be to change the world and live an abundant life. May God continue to bless all the hearer and doers of His word.